So is porn good or bad? That's not an easy question to answer, is it? It's actually a question one of you asked me, and I love when you all ask me some questions, and I think this is a good one. In order to answer this fully, I think we're gonna have to do a deep dive and explore this with some nuance. So hey friends, if we haven't met before, my name is Kaelan Strauss. I'm an ecstatic spirituality coach. I work with people around the world to help them become better people. I host this YouTube channel, Ecstatic Self, where we explore the intersection of meditation and spirituality with sex and sexuality, living authentically, finding belonging, having a joyful life. I've written a couple books on these topics, and I host in-person retreats in case you ever want to join me and a group of others to explore this more deeply. So, is porn good or bad? I want to start off today's video by saying it depends. And we're going to highlight a quote by one of my favorite authors, William Shakespeare: "There is nothing good or bad, but thinking makes it so." And why I love this quote is it's so true. Seldom are there things in life that are objectively good or objectively bad, but it really comes down to our perspective and nuance around the situation. It's one of my immense frustrations with the culture we currently live in, that we are so obsessed with making people heroes or villains, saying this person's bad, this person's good, when in reality, we're all more nuanced than that. And everything is contextual. For example, murder. I think we can all generally agree, murder, bad. But in a situation where someone is defending the life of a loved one, someone who is being targeted and attacked, perhaps defending them and potentially even having to murder the person attacking them, may be an appropriate response. I think we can all agree. And more than that, can you have the gumption, can you have the bravery to imagine somebody who's incredibly opposite of you in their political views? If you're a Democrat, Republican, imagine a Democrat. If you're pro-life, imagine somebody who's pro-choice. Step into their shoes and see, if you live their life, can you understand why they believe the way that they do? Now, I'm not saying that doing this will ultimately change your view on the topic, but can you understand how their perspective shapes their belief and how they can feel right for believing what they do and another person wrong? I think if we all did this more often, we'd live in a much more graceful, a much more tolerant, a much more beautiful world. All right, so applying this to the topic at hand, porn, good or bad? It depends. Well, first off, let's just start by saying, how does porn make you feel? Do you leave your experience engaging with porn feeling enlivened and joyful and more integrated? Great. Do you leave your experience of porn feeling kind of cloudy, shut down, shameful? Then you may want to take a look at that. I mean, take for example, if you were somebody who has a lot of shame around your sexual desires or your sexual orientation, consuming pornography that relates to that, you're going to walk away not feeling so good because it's tapping into that shame. It really depends on where you are and the work you need to do. If you view sex as something sacred and holy and an act of the divine, that our ability to create comes through our lovemaking, then you may view sex as something beautiful and something to be celebrated, and that watching it is something that is heavenly, even a form of devotion. All right, then porn might be good for you. So that's the first idea, is it really matters where you're looking from. What's the perspective you are seeing this through? The next thing I think we need to bring up is both quality and quantity. Quantity in the sense of, how much porn are you looking at? How many naked bodies, how many undulating couples are you taking in a single sitting? Because in real life, you would never be able to see as many naked sexualized bodies as you can online. Like, I don't care who you are in real life, I don't care how prolific your sexual appetites, you are limited by time and space with how many sexual bodies you can see. Even if you were the king or queen of Sextopolis, Sextopia, some country of sex, and you had a harem of 300 concubines who were all lusty and ready to bang at your beck and call, you still would only be able to see a certain number of sexualized bodies at once. And they wouldn't be new. It's not like your Twitter feed where you can just refresh it and see a whole new slew of naked people. Your brain is only hardwired to consume so many and so much. And when we do more than that, we overstimulate our dopamine receptors. And over time that can lead to dopamine burnout. It can lead to feeling of not deriving pleasure from other activities because you're just so overly triggered. It's similar to like with our cell phones. Our cell phones are designed like slot machines. They're there to overly stimulate us, even when we're not viewing something erotic, and how we have to learn to limit the amount of time we're engaging with them. So quantity. Can you say, hey, I'm only going to look at 5 couples or 10 couples or 5 solo people today, and then I'm done, and see how that affects you. Now, in regards to the quality of the pornography, like for example, I prefer pornography that is much more artistic, much more on the side of erotica. Like that feels very different to me. It feels much more sensual. I also prefer people masturbating. I think that feels much more wholesome in a way. Like, I think everybody just loves the experience of connecting with their own bodies. I view it, masturbation, as a sacred practice, a way of honoring the divine within me, and I think that's a beautiful experience with somebody else. And I think we can all agree, watching two people make love is very different from watching two people fuck. So if you're watching two people who care about each other, maybe you're even in a relationship or good friends and they're engaging in physical intimacy, that is a very different tenor and quality than two anonymous strangers who may be high, maybe don't even want to be there, who are just plowing into each other. One of the guys I've interviewed here on my YouTube channel works as a sexual therapist on porn sets, and he talks about how often performers will come off screen in tears, that they don't really want to be doing this and they feel like their boundaries are being violated, and he has to work with them. Like, even if they aren't crying on camera but they're still feeling that way, you can kind of feel that. So the quality of the porn, is it something that is joyful? Is it something that's celebratory? Or is it something that is shutting people down, making them feel degraded, making them feel dehumanized? I heard a statistic recently that something like over 50% of college students who were sexually active, self-identified, said that they viewed choking as a normal part of sexual behavior. No one has ever tried to choke me. I've never tried to choke anyone. I like to breathe. But to take somebody to the brink of suffocation, I think it's not very good that we view that as a normal activity. So that's the next point I want to bring up, is just, what is the quality of it? How are the people behaving, and how does it make you feel? And this leads me to my next point, is what feels good to one person may feel bad to another person. One person can walk into a bar and have a drink or two and have a great experience socializing and leave for the night. Another person could walk into a bar and know that they're not ever going to walk out unless they're plastered, and they are going to have drunk far too much. Same situation, two different people, two different responses. For some people, porn can be healthy. For other people, it's not. And that's a self-awareness that you have to cultivate for yourself. And a good rule of thumb is, again, does it make you feel better afterwards, or does it make you feel worse? But another important indicator is, how is it affecting the rest of your life? Are you turning down opportunities to do things in person with people? Are you finding that you can't get your to-do list completed because you're too obsessed with porn? Are you missing out in real life? And I want to put a particular note of caution to Gen Z, and most likely also Gen Alpha. They're still young yet, but we'll see that, these are generations that have been weaned on technology and are very often reticent to engage in person with people. And virtual connections do not stimulate the same neurons as real life ones, as analog connections. We are happier and healthier when we are in person. We are social animals. And I believe that it's important that we engage in skin-to-skin, pheromone-to-pheromone, scent-to-scent experiences. So if you are finding that you would rather just have sex with plastic rather than having in-person engagements, that's another thing to really be aware of, and it could be a big red flag for you. I think part of the reason that porn has taken up so much focus in people's time and energy and minds is because we are social creatures. If we go back several generations to more of a hunter-gatherer society as we lived for millennia, we would be naked with each other. We would have sex around each other. That those things would be communal experiences. You would have fucked in front of your friends. Your friends would see you naked all the time. And now we live in such isolated societies where often we aren't exposed. We aren't sharing our bodies with the people we care about, our friend groups. And so there's this hardwired part of us that want that experience, that want to be exhibitionistic, that want to be voyeuristic, and we want to partake in a communal experience with our bodies and our lovemaking, and so porn creates an outlet for that. However, because it is not real life, because it is purely virtual, and because the people on the other side of the screen do not care about you, they don't even know you exist, let alone care about you, it doesn't end up being a healing experience. I think that if we lived in a society where we were much more open with our bodies and our lovemaking, I think we'd be a lot happier and healthier. One of my personal wishes is I wish that communal bathing were still a thing in the United States, because back in the day, people would all swim naked together. In a lot of cultures, you would go and take public baths together. And even though that wasn't a sexualized space, getting to be vulnerable with each other and share your most intimate parts and see what other bodies are like really grounds us and makes us feel more human and more alive. So going back to my original idea, there is seldom anything good or bad. It's your perspective. And so how do you feel? What is your experience? And if you're not having the experience you want, how can you change it? Thank you to whoever asked this question. I think this was a great topic for us to explore. If you personally have any thoughts or feelings on this subject, feel free to drop a comment below. I try to read and respond to as many comments as I can, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this discourse we're having today. Furthermore, if you know somebody for whom you think this conversation would be valuable, please share it with them. And if you are somebody who feels like they're struggling with porn addiction, please know it is never weakness to reach out and ask for help. We all need help from time to time, and there are people around the world to help support you in finding balance, wellness, and wholeness. If you felt like I did a great job facilitating this conversation today, please do me a favor. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Those things really do matter and help our analytics. And if you want to have more of this kind of work or work a little more directly with me, feel free to head to ecstaticself.com to find out about one-on-one coaching or joining me on an in-person retreat where you can do this deep, soulful, meditative work with other people as well. Thank you so much for your time, heart, and energy. I'm Kaelan. I hope you have a beautiful day. Blessings to you.